So how about if we finish this up with a nested for loop? We're going to display a clock. See if we can display all of the elements of a clock. All right, so we're going to start with a for loop. I'm going to create an hour variable. We're going to set the hour, we'll initialize the hour equal to 1. And I'll continue this as long as hour is less than or equal to 12. And then we're going to increment hour. So I have my opening and my closing curly brace. I'm going to label this end hour 4. And then I'll go inside of here and I'll create a nested for loop for the minute. So I'm going to create a local variable called minute. We're going to initialize minute to 1. And then we will say as long as minute is less than or equal to 59, correct? And then we will increment minute. So I'll have my opening and my closing curly brace. I will label this one N the minute for. But it seems like we need another one for the second. For second. So we're going to initialize second to 1. I'll say second is less than or equal to 59. Seconds go all the way up to 59. And then I'll increment second. I need my opening and closing curly brace. I'll call this one end second for. And then once we get inside of here, inside of the inner loop, what I would really like to do is to print something that looks roughly like, I don't know, 0, 1, 12, 59. I mean, this is what a digital clock would look like, right? So I can use cout, and I could build the print statement using a series of couts, but instead what I'm going to use is a printf. And yes, there is a print format inside of C++. And so you might be familiar with the print format that I use the % symbol with a decimal to indicate the variable that I am going to be replacing inside of a text field. And so I need that semicolon. I'm going to have another % decimal, and then the final % decimal, that should give me the 3 variables of my clock. I'm going to force a new line because I want each hour or each time on the clock to be on a new line. And then I need to comma separate that from the 3 variables that I wanted to replace from the % signs. The first one is hour, the second one was minute, and the last one was second. Now in order to use printf in my C++ compiler, I'm going to have to include CSTDIO. So we're going to go up to the top and we're going to pound include that. So let's come back up here, and oh, there's my printf right up there. We're going to pound include CSTDIO. That's where I'm getting my print format from inside of the C++ program. All right, so I have my new line, and this is my return. So this is the nested for loops. So let's run it and see. All right, so I had to get a prime number so I could put in a sentence. And then as soon as I press enter on the sentence, it's going to give me a count, a word count and a character count. And then it's going to begin my nested fors to display the clock. Now you'll notice that it is running through all of the hours, the minutes, and the seconds. So that's an example of a nested for in C++ along with the print format. I'm going to add one more piece to this that says, notice all the closing curly braces. You see I have a end second for, end minute for, end hour for, and then end main. This is the reason for the comment on the closing braces. This is why I have you put comments, labels on your closing curly braces, because I have 4 closing curly braces at the end of my program, and it would be really, really easy to be missing one. Now Python, you just tab things in. If it's not tabbed in, it's visual. You can see, oh, it's not included because it's not tabbed in. But with Java and C++, those curly braces indicate the beginning and the ending of a block of code. And so if I am missing a closing curly brace, everything after that might still be a part of that block of code. So it's important that I can make sure I know which of the opening curly braces that this one belongs to, and the best way to do that is by putting comments on your closing curly braces. So your video lab for this section is to create a program that's going to prompt the user for an initial investment and calculate the amount of time it will take that investment to reach $50,000 if the amount is compounded 3.5% annually. That means you're adding 3.5% to their initial investment every year. The initial investment is going to have to be a positive number, so don't allow them to add a negative 25 or a negative 10,000. And it also has to be less than $50,000 so that we can compound that annually up to $50,000. Once you have calculated that, I want you to display all relevant information. That includes their initial investment and how many years that it takes to reach $50,000. Also want you to include a friendly greeting and a graceful close because, once again, user experience is critically important in the programming world. As always, I want you to have some inline pseudocode as you map out a plan for this particular program, and you also need to include header information. And then finally, test cases. Tell me what to key in and what will happen if I key those values in. There needs to be a series of successful test cases as well as unsuccessful test cases if I key in invalid values.